scrutiny, attacks, and attempts to erase your influence. This shift from trending topic to targeted voice is the harsh reality for anyone daring to disrupt the norm. Your story isn't unique. Countless voices have faced backlash simply for refusing to stay quiet.
Hey y'all, I had just came from my other channel. Y'all see I had to end it. Well, YouTube actually ended.
Every viral moment carries risks
So let me go on the other channel again.
Yet the cost also highlights the value of your impact. If you were easy to ignore, no one would bother trying to silence you. The very fact that you were targeted confirms you struck a nerve.
I mean, y'all, because on Balenciaga is a spirituality channel anyways, but on Most Wanted, these messages correlate with things that we all go through as one. Everything that y'all come tell me online about what y'all going through in the comments, all of this coincide, babe.
Supporters and those inspired by your courage carried your voice forward, proving that no ban can cancel a movement born from truth and passion.
So if y'all know somebody that's, going through similar things, or if it's related to you can go check them out. It's Wisdom Woke. And make sure you tell them that you heard this on my line.
Your message transcended screens and clicks, becoming a rallying cry for anyone who's ever felt marginalized or silenced. You became the face of resistance, proof that the spirit behind words is more powerful than the words themselves. Movement that survive bans become
y'all, any video that I play, I'll let y'all know what channel it is, and y'all make sure y'all tell them y'all heard it on my line. That's how we get
united by shared
support
values
from
and
each other.
Honesty.
And
in this light,
free.
Your ban is a badge of honor, a symbol that your truth
resonates
far beyond any
to support
reach.
And invest
Viral content burns fast
in good confirmation.
But your message was volcanic. It erupted with force, reshaping landscapes and leaving permanent scars on the digital world.
I'm showing y'all what I do to manifest, because I don't be having
forcing people to reckon with
realities I know how to manifest.
Your words created tremors that shook the foundations of online discourse. Volcanic impact means your message changed the environment around it. It forced new conversations, challenged entrenched ideas, and reshaped perceptions. Unlike fleeting trends, your truth demanded attention, reflection, and action. The emotional intensity behind your message stirred deep feelings.
We'll reset this again.
Pain, and determination.
We just reset it again. I wish I could show y'all. I'm going to do it 2 times. And the first one, I'm on notification. People are pissed by your new boundaries, I guess.
I used to spend over 12 hours a month on busy work, following up, client questionnaires, all of it.
Chosen one. What I'm about to tell you is going to sound impossible right now.
The first one actually is a song. I can't play that one. So after
something that will fundamentally change how people see you. More importantly, it's going to change how you see yourself. You know that feeling when you're in a crowded room but feel completely alone? When you're surrounded by people who claim to care about you, yet somehow you're still carrying all the emotional weight. That's been your reality for longer than you want to admit. Most people don't understand what it's like to be someone like you. They don't get that you didn't choose this path because it was easy. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to be everyone's emotional support system. It chose you. And for years you've been honoring that calling without even realizing the cost. The cost of always being available. The cost of putting everyone else's needs before your own. The cost of smiling when you want to scream, of saying it's fine when everything is falling apart inside. You've been keeping score without realizing it. Every time someone took your kindness for granted. Every time you showed up for people who never showed up for you. Every time you made yourself smaller so others could feel bigger. Every late night phone call you answered when you were exhausted. Every favor you did for people who somehow never had time to return the gesture. You're going to experience what I can only describe as a boundary revolution. It won't happen gradually. It won't be subtle. It's going to be so clear, so definitive, that everyone in your orbit is going to feel the shift. Think about it this way. You've been living in a house with no locks on the doors. People walk in whenever they want, eat your food, use your things, make themselves comfortable, and leave their mess behind. You've gotten so used to this that you've forgotten what privacy feels like. You've forgotten what it's like to come home to your own space without wondering who's going to need something from you. The people who were used to free access are going to be confused first, then frustrated, then, if I'm being completely honest, probably angry. That's exactly what's about to happen with your energy, your time, your emotional availability, and your resources. You're about to establish boundaries so clear, so non-negotiable, that the people who have been taking advantage of your open door policy are going to be genuinely shocked. Some will be confused, others will be hurt, a few will be downright pissed off. And the part that might surprise you most? That's exactly how you'll know the boundaries are working. Let's talk about who's going to be most affected by your transformation, because understanding this will help you prepare for their reactions. First, there are the energy vampires. You know exactly who I'm talking about. These are the people who call you when they need something, but are mysteriously unavailable when you need support. They've grown comfortable with the one-way nature of your relationship. They expect you to be their therapist, their bank, their problem solver, their emotional dumping ground. When you suddenly start expecting reciprocity, they're going to act like you've changed the rules of a game they didn't even know they were playing. These people have been living in a world where your time and energy are free resources. They've never had to consider whether you might have your own problems, your own needs, your own limits. The idea that you might not be available at their convenience is going to be completely foreign to them. Then there are the guilt trippers. These people have mastered the art of making you feel responsible for their happiness, their success, their emotional state. They've been using phrases like, "I thought you cared about me, and you've changed," to keep you in line. They know exactly which buttons to push to make you feel guilty for having any needs of your own. When your new boundaries make their manipulation tactics ineffective, they're going to escalate before they eventually fade away. They'll try harder to make you feel guilty. They'll bring up every favor you've ever done for them, every time they were there for you, every reason why you should continue to prioritize their needs over your own. Don't forget about the entitled family members. You know, the ones who assume you'll always be available for their emergencies but never acknowledge your own needs. They've labeled you as the strong one, or the responsible one, as a way to justify their dependence on you. They've convinced themselves that you don't need support because you're just naturally capable of handling everything. Your new boundaries are going to feel like betrayal to them, even though all you're doing is asking for basic respect. They're going to say things like, "Family comes first," and "I can't believe you're being so selfish," because they've never had to consider that you might have limits too. Then there are the fair weather friends, the ones who love being around you when you're giving, doing, fixing, and solving, but who become scarce when you need the same energy returned. They show up for the fun parts but disappear when things get difficult. They're happy to take your advice, but never ask how you're doing. They're comfortable with you being the one who always initiates plans, always checks in, always remembers birthdays and important events.
But don't remember.
They're going to be confused by your sudden unavailability and might even try to shame you back into your old patterns. They'll make comments about how you're not the same person or how success has changed you because they can't understand why you're no longer willing to be a one-person support system. You're about to discover what it feels like to have your energy belong to you again. For the first time in years, you're going to wake up and check in with yourself before checking in with everyone else. You're going to ask yourself what you need today before automatically scanning for who else needs your attention. This new version of you doesn't explain or justify your decisions to people who haven't earned the right to question them. When someone asks why you can't drop everything to help them with their latest crisis, you're going to give them a simple, "That doesn't work for me," instead of a 20-minute explanation designed to make them feel better about your unavailability. You're going to start saying no without offering alternatives. You're going to stop feeling responsible for managing other people's emotions when they don't get what they want from you. You're going to realize that no is a complete sentence, and you don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for protecting your own well-being. This new version of you is going to start noticing how different you feel when you're around different people. The relationships that energize you will become more obvious, and the ones that drain you will become unbearable. You'll find yourself naturally gravitating toward people who celebrate your growth instead of trying to keep you small. You're going to rediscover what it feels like to have hobbies, interests, and goals that have nothing to do with helping other people. Remember that creative project you abandoned because you didn't have time? Remember those dreams you put on hold because everyone else's needs seemed more urgent? They're about to resurface with a vengeance. You're going to start making decisions based on what you actually want, not what you think you should want, or what others expect from you. You're going to remember what it feels like to be excited about your own life instead of just being the supporting character in everyone else's story. There are going to be specific moments in the next few days that will catch everyone off guard, including yourself. Someone who's used to having unlimited access to your time and energy is going to approach you with their usual expectation of immediate availability. Maybe it's a friend who wants you to drop everything to help them move. Maybe it's a family member who expects you to babysit their kids with no notice. Maybe it's a co-worker who wants you to cover their shift again, instead of automatically shifting your schedule around to accommodate them. You're going to pause. You're going to check your own needs first. And then you're going to say something that will surprise both of you. "No, that doesn't work for me." The silence that follows is going to be profound. They're going to wait for you to offer an alternative, to negotiate, to find a way to make it work anyway. They're going to expect you to apologize for not being available, to explain why you can't help, to feel guilty about prioritizing yourself. You're not going to do any of that. You're going to hold space for your own needs with the same fierce protection you use to reserve for everyone else's. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. You didn't just survive your past, you were refined by it. Every betrayal, every psychic attack, every night you thought you wouldn't make it, that wasn't random. That was the forge. And now, the blade is ready. Inside the Obsidian Inner Order, we gather each week on live Zoom calls. And yes, they're recorded, so when you're down in the pit, you can still tap the signal. You'll meet divine warrior goddesses who walk with ancestral fire spines, masculine healers who carry prophecy in their silence, a former military drone operator who now moves matter with his thoughts, a seer from Utah who broke free of Mormonism to become a Gnostic, a psychic in Utah who used to be a millionaire, CFO, a spiritual healer who clawed their way out of a satanic cult and now channels light like a weapon. These aren't stories, they're your future reflections. If you've ever felt like you were meant for something more, it's because you are. The field is open, the war is real, the circle is waiting. Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in the description. Thank you all for supporting the broadcast. We quite literally could not do this without you.
Why, thank you. I guess my hotspot.
Hey pals, check out this awesome pet fountain I recently discovered. Seriously, ever since
I
I
think it's
got
a
it,
few
my
more
life
minutes
has
on the
become
video.
so much.
You.
Yeah.
Another shocking moment. You're going to stop responding to guilt trips. When someone tries to make you feel bad for prioritizing yourself instead of apologizing and immediately trying to fix their feelings, you're going to remain calm and unmoved. Your lack of reaction to their emotional manipulation is going to be more powerful than any argument you could make. They might say things like, "I guess you don't care about me anymore," or "You've really changed," or "I thought I could count on you." Instead of rushing to reassure them, you're going to let them sit with their feelings without making them your responsibility. Perhaps the most shocking development of all, you're going to start feeling good about disappointing people who have been taking advantage of your kindness. Instead of that familiar pit in your stomach when someone is upset with you, you're going to feel a strange sense of relief and empowerment. You're going to realize that their disappointment is not your emergency. Their poor planning is not your crisis to solve. Their inability to handle their own emotions is not your burden to carry. You might be wondering why this is happening now, after all these years of being everyone's go-to person. The truth is, you've been in training. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you were learning about the cost of abandoning yourself. Every time you prioritized someone else's comfort over your own well-being, you were gathering data about what doesn't work.
This doesn't work.
Your soul has been taking notes, and it's finally ready to graduate you to the next level of your existence. Think about all the times you've felt resentful after helping someone, all the times you've felt taken for granted, all the times you've wondered why you're always the one giving and never the one receiving. Those weren't just random bad feelings. They were signals from your inner wisdom, trying to tell you that something was out of balance. You've reached a point where the cost of maintaining your old patterns has become higher than the cost of changing them. The pain of staying the same has finally exceeded the fear of doing something different. This boundary revolution isn't happening because you're becoming selfish or mean. It's happening because you're finally...
Hold up. Yes.
becoming whole. You're finally ready to show up in the world as your complete self, rather than the version of yourself that everyone else finds convenient. Looking back, there were warning signs that this transformation was coming. Maybe you started noticing how drained you felt after certain phone calls. Maybe you began to feel a twinge of resentment when that one friend only reached out when they needed something. Maybe you started to recognize the pattern of always being the one to reach out, always being the one to remember important dates, always being the one to make plans. These weren't character flaws in you. They were your internal alarm system trying to get your attention. Every time you felt that familiar exhaustion after helping someone who never reciprocated, your mind was documenting evidence. Every time you said, "It's fine," when it clearly wasn't fine, your body was keeping track of the accumulated stress. You probably started having moments where you wondered what would happen if you just stopped. Stopped being available for everyone else's emergencies. Stopped being the person everyone turned to when they needed something. Stopped saying yes to things that made you feel depleted. Those weren't selfish thoughts. They were healthy thoughts. They were your authentic self trying to break through years of conditioning that taught you your worth was tied to your usefulness to others. The interesting thing is that this transformation has been building in the background while you continued to go through the motions of your old patterns. Part of you has been preparing for this shift, even while another part of you was still trying to keep everyone happy.
Whatever it is.
Okay, apparently there's this app where you can see how your number is saved to other people's phones. So Jake, can I see your phone?
Happy. What you need to understand is that your boundary revolution is going to create a ripple effect that extends far beyond your immediate relationships. When When you start honoring your own needs with the same intensity you used to reserve for everyone else's, you give other people permission to do the same. The people who truly love and respect you are going to be inspired by your transformation. They're going to see how much more present and energetic you become when you're not constantly depleted by toxic dynamics. Some of them might even ask you how you did it, how you found the courage to put yourself first. Your children, if you have them, are going to learn what healthy boundaries look like by watching you. Instead of growing up thinking that love means sacrificing yourself for others, they're going to see that love includes respecting yourself enough to have limits. Your co-workers are going to see that it's possible to be helpful without being a doormat. They're going to watch you maintain your professionalism while still protecting your time and energy. Some of them might start implementing their own boundaries as a result. The people who are genuinely meant to be in your life are going to adapt to your new boundaries without making you feel guilty about them. They're going to respect your limits because they respect you. The relationships that survive this transformation are going to become deeper, more authentic, and infinitely more satisfying. I won't lie to you. There's going to be pushback. Some people are going to try to shame you back into your old patterns. They might accuse you of being selfish, ungrateful, or acting like you're too good for them now. They might bring up all the times they were there for you, conveniently, forgetting all the times you were there for them. This is when you need to remember that their reaction is not about you. It's about their fear of losing access to your energy. People who are used to getting something for free are never happy when the price suddenly goes up, even if that price is just basic respect and reciprocity. Some people are going to try to test your new boundaries to see if they're real. They might push harder, demand more, or try to create emergencies that require your immediate attention. They're going to wait for you to crack under pressure and go back to your old ways. This is the most crucial time to hold firm. Every time you maintain your boundary despite pressure, you're reinforcing the new reality. Every time you stick to your guns when someone tries to guilt trip you, you're teaching them that your boundaries are non-negotiable. Some relationships are going to end, and that's not only okay, it's necessary. The people who can't respect your boundaries were never really respecting you. They were in a relationship with what you could do for them, not who you actually are.
Damn, that hit
It might hurt to lose some of these relationships, especially if they've been part of your life for a long time. You might feel guilty about abandoning people who've come to depend on you. You might wonder if you're being too harsh, or if you should give them another chance. Remember this. A relationship that can't survive you having boundaries wasn't a healthy relationship to begin with. You're not responsible for keeping people in your life who only want to be there on their terms. Focus on what you're moving toward, because that's where the real excitement is. You're about to discover what it feels like to have energy left over at the end of the day. You're going to remember what it's like to make plans based on what you actually want to do, not what others need from you. You're going to rediscover the pleasure of saying yes because you want to, not because you feel obligated. Your new boundaries are going to attract new people into your life, people who appreciate your authenticity, who celebrate your growth, who bring their own energy to the relationship instead of just taking yours. These new connections are going to show you what healthy relationships actually feel like. You're going to have time for yourself again, time to read books, take walks, pursue hobbies, learn new skills, or simply do nothing at all. You're going to remember what it's like to have space in your life for spontaneity and rest. You're also going to reconnect with old parts of yourself that you thought were gone forever. That creative spark, that sense of adventure, that joy you used to feel before you became everyone's emotional caretaker. It's all still there, just waiting for you to create space for it again. Your stress levels are going to drop dramatically when you're no longer carrying everyone else's problems on your shoulders. You're going to sleep better, have more energy, and feel more like yourself than you have in years. The most powerful moment in this entire transformation is going to come when someone who's used to unlimited access to your time and energy realizes that the old rules no longer apply. They're going to test your resolve, push against your boundaries, and wait for you to fold like you always have before. Maybe they'll show up at your door unannounced, expecting you to drop everything for them. Maybe they'll call you crying about the same problem they've been complaining about for months without doing anything to fix it. Maybe they'll try to make you feel guilty for not being available whenever they need you. This time, you're not going to fold. This time, you're going to hold your ground with a calm certainty that surprises even you. You're going to stay present with your own needs while acknowledging theirs without taking responsibility for them. And in that moment, both of you will realize that something fundamental has changed. Not just in your relationship, but in who you are. That's when you'll know that your transformation is complete. That's when you'll understand that you haven't just established new boundaries. You've established a new version of yourself.
I like that.
The next few days are going to be unlike anything you've experienced before. You're about to shock people with your new boundaries, and honestly, you're probably going to shock yourself too. The person you're becoming is the person you were always meant to be. You're just finally ready to let them out. So get ready, chosen one. Your boundary revolution starts now, and nothing is ever going to be the same.
I mean, shocked a little bit. Religious, it was funded. A secret religious. That's the first one. Everyone find out what a dirty cop did to you. Let me
Truth finally erupts like molten magma, obliterating the
sorry. That one sound like it may make me cry. Let's do it over. Oh God.
The lion never loses sleep over the opinions of sheep, but he never forgets who tried to cage him. They thought you were easy prey. They thought if they humiliated you, mocked you, broke your spirit in front of others, you'd vanish, quietly, silently, like so many before you. But what they didn't realize was this: you weren't standing there alone. The force behind you, the universe itself, was watching. And what they were really fighting was not just you.
Who is this?
They were fighting a design greater than them. They were foolish enough to challenge the current of destiny itself. That was their first mistake. The second, thinking you'd forget who you are. Chosen one, your discernment didn't just save your peace, it saved your life. That deep discomfort you felt in your gut, that wasn't paranoia. That was a warning. A flash of truth cutting through the fog of deception. What you walked through wasn't some random betrayal. It was a humiliation ritual, quietly staged, socially disguised, but deeply evil. They wanted to see you fall and smile while doing it. This was spiritual warfare carried out through manipulation, betrayal, gaslighting, and public shame. But you made it out, not because you're lucky, but because you were aware. Before we go deeper, make sure you like and subscribe. This message isn't just for you. It's for every chosen one still in the fire, still wondering what's happening to them. When you engage, you help this truth reach more souls who need it now. Every like signals to YouTube that this isn't just content.
It's
It's
God
a
chosen
call
ones
to
on YouTube,
awakening.
y'all. Make sure if y'all go over
Now
there and check it
let's
out.
talk.
Tell them that you
They
saw this
tried
on
to
my
use
live.
your empathy as a weapon against you. Your loyalty became your noose, your silence interpreted as weakness. But what they underestimated was the power of being chosen. See, being chosen doesn't mean being loved. It means being tested, marked, watched, targeted. The universe sets you apart, not for comfort, but for conflict. And those who are not ready for your light will always try to dim it or destroy it. Let's be clear, they didn't want to just hurt you. They wanted to humiliate you. There's a difference. Hurt can happen by accident, but humiliation, that takes planning. They studied you, observed your weaknesses, used your past, twisted your words, set the stage. They wanted your breakdown to be a performance. They wanted an audience, but what they got was a survivor who refused to bleed on cue. You were walking through a staged downfall designed to strip you of your self-worth. That's not exaggeration. That's the truth. And here's what makes it worse. You still doubted your light. You still asked, was it me? You still felt guilty for leaving toxic people behind. Let me tell you something. Stop mourning the loyalty you gave to snakes. Stop apologizing for walking away from fire that was only set to burn you. The power of being chosen is that your glow disturbs their darkness. Your presence stirs something ancient in them. Envy, fear, hatred. You don't have to say a word. Your existence alone reminds them of what they aren't. They see you rising and they panic because every time you get back up, it exposes the weakness in their plot. And deep down, they know if the universe is still backing you, it means their mission failed. They wanted people to laugh at you, but now people are watching you rise, and it burns them. That's why they stalk your pages. That's why they mimic your style. They can't stand you, but they can't look away. Because deep down, they thought your fall would be permanent. What they didn't see coming was your rise becoming their greatest punishment. Understand this. The universe never abandons its chosen. It watches in silence, lets things play out, and then moves in ways that are unseen but undeniable. People who thought they destroyed you are now haunted by your peace. They toss and turn, wondering why nothing sticks to you, why you still smile, why you still stand. It's not luck, it's alignment, it's discernment, and it's protection not meant for everyone. And you, yes, you, stop pretending you're not powerful. Stop shrinking to fit places that were never meant to hold someone like you. Stop acting like you're unworthy of the calling on your life. You were marked for this. That's why they came so hard. That's why the attacks weren't random. That's why the betrayal cut so deep. They needed you to break, so you'd never become what you were always meant to be. But you didn't break. You discerned. You pulled back. You paid attention to the patterns. You walked away when everyone else told you to stay. That's power. That's survival. That's purpose in motion. And now, every fake smile you saw, every backhanded compliment, every setup, it's all exposed. Your clarity is your revenge. This wasn't just a rough patch. This was a battle between dark energy and divine timing. And you stood still long enough for the storm to pass and the truth to rise. Don't forget this. Don't ever downplay this. You didn't just survive a situation. You survived a ritual meant to ruin you. And now you rise, not just as a survivor, but as proof. Proof that when the universe marks someone as chosen, no weapon formed against them can prosper, not because they're lucky, but because they're aligned, awake, and unstoppable.
Damn. Speak to my soul. Oh, speak to me. Speak to me.
Unstoppable. So if this hit you in the gut, it's because it was meant to. This message isn't just content, it's confirmation. You didn't imagine the ritual, you didn't overthink the betrayal, and no, you're not crazy for pulling away. If you've made it this far, it means the truth is already rising in you. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you know you weren't just attacked, you were being initiated. Every scar was part of the setup. And now, it's time to break it down, piece by piece. If you're truly chosen, something deep inside you won't let you click away. Let's get into it. Number 1. They tried to hang you in the town square, but the rope snapped mid-air.
Damn.
They built a stage for your downfall, but forgot the universe controls the lights. This wasn't a bad day. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't some petty misunderstanding that went too far. Let's rip that illusion right out of your mind right now. What happened to you was calculated, deliberate, and sickening. They picked the place. They picked the people. They picked the moment. It was an ambush, a public sacrifice, a ritual designed to shame you, silence you, and destroy your credibility in real time. And they wanted witnesses. They wanted your pain broadcasted, your breakdown turned into a spectacle. But you didn't give them the show. You didn't fall. The rope snapped mid-air, and now they're the ones exposed. You were never crazy. You were never imagining things. That cold look they gave you, that weird shift in the air before everything went left, that sick feeling in your gut as they smiled in your face with knives in their back pocket. That was your discernment screaming. That was the universe sending the alarm. Get out. And you listened. Maybe not loud and proud. Maybe not with confidence at first. But you pulled back. You grew quiet. You stopped explaining. And in doing that, you ruined everything they set up. They thought your silence was submission, but it was preparation. They thought your confusion was weakness, but it was recalibration. What they didn't know is that when a chosen one pauses, the universe shifts. Timelines move. Energy adjusts. And that little plan they were so proud of, it began to unravel the moment you leaned into your gift instead of their gaslighting. Because the truth is, you were never alone in that room. While they were scheming in whispers and shadows, the universe was recording every intention, every backdoor move, every fake laugh, every staged interaction. And now it's all falling apart. Let's talk about the real sting, how they wanted to see you break. Not just stumble, not just cry. They wanted to watch you lose your mind. They needed to see your light flicker out in real time. You think they just accidentally grouped together to turn on you? You think it's coincidence how your deepest fears got used as weapons? No, engineered. People with no real connection suddenly misunderstanding you at the exact same time. That's coordination. That's orchestration. And the sickest part? They did it with smiles on their faces and lies in their mouths, hoping the world would watch you self-destruct while they pretended to be concerned. But here's what they didn't see coming. You had something they couldn't calculate. Discernment, not suspicion, not paranoia, but that rare ability to feel energy before it speaks. You saw the shift before it became a storm. You sensed the setup before the curtains rose. And even though you questioned yourself, even though you doubted your light, you didn't give them what they wanted. You didn't break on cue. You didn't scream. You didn't snap. You survived. And now, they're the ones looking over their shoulders. Chosen one, let's address the other part that hurts. The part where you questioned yourself, where you thought, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe I overreacted, maybe I pushed them away. No, you didn't push them. You saw through them. You saw what they were doing, and instead of letting it continue, you got quiet. You walked away. You chose yourself, and that's what exposed them. So stop apologizing for saving your own life. Stop mourning the people the universe removed. You weren't just being dramatic. You were being protected. You keep doubting your power because you think it's supposed to come with applause. It doesn't. Real power often comes with betrayal, with exile, with silence. They didn't hate you because you were weak. They hated you because the universe whispered secrets in your ear that exposed their masks. They couldn't fool you, and they couldn't control you. So the only thing left was to try and destroy you publicly. They thought if enough people joined in, it would make the lie believable.
Damn. Speak to me.
Experience zoned comfort designed to support your back and body.
Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
Speak to me.
Eve, I've been waiting for you. Do you have good news?
Believable. That's why the crowd showed up so fast. That's why the betrayal came from multiple angles. That's why you were the only one confused while they were all suddenly on the same page. But what they underestimated was how the universe moves for the chosen. You see, when the universe chooses someone, it doesn't just hand them blessings. It hands them battles. It marks them, sets them apart. And the protection that comes with it is violent. It doesn't always come wrapped in peace. It comes wrapped in exposure, isolation, and unexplainable turns of fate. They thought they were playing with you, but they were messing with a system far bigger than their egos. They tried to trap you in a burning house, and the universe sent the storm to drown the fire. And now they're sitting in the ashes.
That's why my stove in my refrigerator is what we got a new stove now. They bought it when I complained, but the whole shit tried to go ablaze, and I saved it. I went on my gut too because I was doing orders. Some say go home. It was a lot of fire trucks kept passing by me out there, so I was like, oh, let me come home. I come home as soon as I caught the shit, unplugged it, turned the brick off.
Here's the truth. Because you carry something they never could. Light,
then it was a big storm.
Not the fake kind, not the social media kind, not the kind you pretend to have, the kind that blinds liars, that burns manipulators, that calls out hypocrisy without you saying a word. Your very presence was a threat. Your silence was louder than their noise. That's why they tried to shame you in the first place. Because they couldn't dim you privately, so they tried to destroy you publicly. But here's the twist. Your survival became your spotlight. You didn't fold. You didn't beg. You didn't crawl back for validation. And now you're rising stronger, wiser, cleaner, quieter.
You got it now. That's what they thought.
It's not weakness anymore. It's power. It's control. It's knowing that the same universe that let you see the storm
I don't even
also
need it no more,
walked
baby.
you through it
I figured it out.
untouched. To the chosen ones
That's
who
how I
still
feel
doubt,
these days.
how many times does the universe have to save you before you stop acting like you're unworthy of that protection? How many
But
setups have to
get there.
fall apart before you realize they weren't just coincidences? They were cosmic interventions.
That's why I'm trying
You
not to
weren't
beat
saved
myself up. It
just
ain't
to
you, boo.
survive.
It's whole
You were
niggas trying to
saved
bring
to
you down.
remember
I
who
stink
you
to it.
are. Remember why you're here. And remember that your enemies didn't fail because they were weak. They failed because they tried to fight what was never theirs to control. You walked into their trap and walked out untouched. You stood center stage in their ritual and didn't bleed. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. And
Now I lay me. It's like a beat.
you still shine. That's the curse of betraying a chosen one. The pain never sticks to us, but it returns to them, multiplied. Number 2, they knocked like old friends, but came carrying poison in their smiles. Not everyone from your past wants closure. Some just want a second shot at breaking what they couldn't finish the first time. Let's not sugarcoat this. That reunion wasn't fate. That text, that DM, that hey stranger message that came out of nowhere, it wasn't the universe giving you another another chance to heal. It was bait, a setup, a Trojan horse wrapped in fake nostalgia. You felt it in your stomach the moment they reached out. Your body went still, your energy dropped, your mind remembered the damage. But your heart, the part of you that's still healing, entertained it. You doubted your instincts again, and that's where we need to talk. Because Chosen One, what is it going to take for you to stop doubting your own light? How many times does a snake have to shed its skin in front of you before you stop calling it a friend in new clothes? They didn't come back because they missed you. They didn't stumble upon your profile. They didn't just think of you. They resurfaced because you've been glowing louder in silence than they ever did in a crowd. They felt the shift. They saw your peace. They noticed your detachment. And it scared them. Because when a chosen one...
Yeah, all my phones gonna turn off. It always do that. So I just let it do it.
Detaches for real. It sends an earthquake through every soul that ever fed off your energy. Let's break this down raw. They didn't return because they love you. They came to study you, to test the lock, to check if the gate they once broke through was still open. But this time, they didn't use aggression. They used nostalgia.
Wow.
Remember when I just wanted to check on you? You crossed my mind today. No, you didn't. That was strategy. That was spiritual fishing. That was an emotional setup disguised as a walk down memory lane.
My Facebook.
You weren't paranoid. You were right. And the fact that you even questioned that shows how deeply their first betrayal fractured your trust. Not in them, but in yourself. And that's what makes this whole thing so dangerous.
Right now.
Because when...
I was babysitting earlier, but my oldest daughter is in there, and her and her sister is doing their tag team now. So let me go get my stuff. With the baby. Let me go still check on the baby, see if they need help with her. What charger is that? I almost stepped on my black. Now where this charge at?
Someone breaks you and walks away, it hurts. But when they come back acting like they never did it, and you start rewriting history just to make space for them again, that's spiritual suicide. That's how chosen ones lose their crown, not to enemies, but to familiarity. And let's be honest, some of you entertained that message because a part of you still wanted closure. You wanted answers. You wanted to believe maybe they've changed. Maybe it wasn't as bad as you remember. But let me hit you with this. Closure is not a conversation. Closure is a decision. You don't need their truth to validate your healing. You don't need to revisit hell just to prove you survived it. Let me say this louder. They didn't change. They just got more careful. They remembered what worked last time, and they adjusted the strategy. Last time they came loud. This time they came soft. Last time they attacked. This time they smiled. But the energy underneath, it's the same. The darkness never left. It just got dressed up in better words. You keep forgetting the power of being chosen doesn't just make you a target, it makes you a mirror. When you show up, people are forced to confront who they are not. That's why so many return, not out of love, but out of obsession. They need access to your light because theirs went out a long time ago. And instead of doing the work to rebuild themselves, they'd rather drain what you've rebuilt. That's not love. That's leeching. You want to know how dangerous you are now? They had to come in disguise. They couldn't just come honestly. They had to wear your memories like a costume. That's how bright your discernment has become. And yet, you still second-guessed it. Why? Because you're lonely? Because you missed the connection? Because a small part of you still wants someone to come back and choose you right this time? Let me break your heart with the truth that will free your soul. They were never supposed to choose you right. They were meant to break you, to test you, to awaken the very power you're sitting in right now. If they had treated you right, you would have stayed small, comfortable, distracted. But they dropped you in the fire, and you didn't burn. You forged. Stop giving out second chances like you're trying to win them over. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. The universe already chose you, and when the universe aligns with your spirit, anyone who tries to re-enter without the right energy will be rejected like a virus. The reason it felt off when they messaged you isn't because you're bitter, it's because your energy evolved and their mask didn't. And don't let the apology fool you. Words are cheap, so is timing, especially when it shows up right as you're elevating. That's not an accident. That's spiritual timing on their part, not the universe's. The universe already closed that chapter. You're the one flipping back the pages, looking for a feeling that no longer belongs to you. You were making peace with the past. You were rebuilding. You were healing in silence. And just when the light started coming back into your eyes, they knocked, not to congratulate you, not to reconnect, but to reinfect, like a virus that mutated and hoped you forgot what the first wave did to you.
This one go there.
Did to you. Chosen one, this is your wake-up call. Your power is loud now. Your growth is undeniable. And if you're not careful, nostalgia will drag you back to graves you already buried. Learn to tell the difference between a lesson and a test. One teaches you, the other checks if you were really paying attention. You've come too far to fall for the same tricks in prettier packaging. That, hey stranger, wasn't a lifeline. It was a hook, and you felt it. Deep down,
So y'all, I got this
that
other
cold
battery
chill,
pack.
that tight chest, that voice saying don't do it.
It's a solar
That
one,
wasn't
so I
fear.
can charge it in
That
the
was
sun.
the universe
That's how I've been
shielding
charging
you.
it, leaving it
You
in
think
the
it's
windshield.
cruel that you keep losing people, but the truth is, you're not losing them. They're being removed before they can strike again. Stop doubting your gift. Stop questioning your knowing. When the universe chose you, it installed a radar in your spirit that can't be turned off. That's what makes you dangerous. That's why they're coming back in waves. Not because they miss you, but because they miss the version of themselves that only existed when they were attached to your light. But here's the truth. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. And no matter how many times they knock, no matter how sweet their voice sounds now, you owe them nothing. Not a response, not a reunion, not even closure. You gave them access once. They used it to try to bury you. And now, you owe them silence. You're not cruel for protecting your peace. You're not selfish for blocking what once broke you. You're not cold. You're finally clear. And when the chosen one gets clear, the whole system changes. So next time they knock, let the wind answer. Because because the version of you they're looking for doesn't live here anymore. Number 3, you thought it was awkward energy, but it was the predator sizing you up. The gut doesn't whisper lies. It screams truth that your mind isn't ready to hear. Stop brushing it off. That weird tension you felt in the room. That shift in their eyes when you weren't looking. That pause in their tone that made your stomach twist. It wasn't awkwardness. It wasn't just your anxiety. That was your intuition roaring, and you almost ignored it. Again. You thought you were being paranoid. You thought you were overthinking, too sensitive, too suspicious. But what you were feeling wasn't emotion. It was spiritual radar. It was your internal warning system screaming at you. Something's not right. Because it wasn't right. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't just energy. That was an intention, sharp, calculated and dangerous, disguised under casual smiles and fake concern. You felt it, and instead of trusting it, you doubted yourself. Again, why do you keep questioning the one thing that's never lied to you? That uneasy energy you couldn't name. That was predatory. That was someone with a script in their head and a plan in their pocket. And you were the target. The bait wasn't words. It was familiarity. It was subtle manipulation. They didn't come at you directly. They came soft. They came quiet. Like a shadow. Like smoke under a door. They hoped you wouldn't notice the way their energy wrapped around you like a cold fog. But you noticed. Because you've been here before. You've seen the fake smiles. You've felt the eyes that didn't match the voice. You've experienced the presence that drains instead of uplifts. And yet, a part of you still asked, am I just being judgmental? No. You were being spiritually accurate. And let me say this without mercy. Doubting your intuition is what keeps putting you back in rooms that were never safe. You think discernment only shows up when things are loud. No. It shows up in the stillness, in the glitches, in the split-second flickers of energy that don't add up. That's the universe testing your awareness. And you keep failing by giving people the benefit of the doubt when you should be giving them the door. You weren't imagining it. That eerie off-center vibe. That was the mask slipping. That was the spirit underneath revealing itself. And your body caught it before your brain could process it. You felt the shift because your soul doesn't lie. So stop making excuses for what your spirit has already labeled as unsafe. That moment wasn't awkward. It was strategic. A predator will always try to blend into your comfort zone before they strike.
And start another
So
one.
ask yourself,
Go to my most
how many times has your body screamed, but you smiled anyway? How many times did your intuition tell you to leave, but you stayed to be polite? You're not here to be polite. You're here to survive. You're here to thrive. And if that makes people uncomfortable, so be it. Your discernment is a divine shield, not a flaw. And every time you dismiss it, you lower your guard and invite in something that was never meant to reach you. The next time something feels off, don't decode it. Exit it. Number 4, they didn't hate you. They hated what you reflected back at them. You didn't change for the worse. You changed into a mirror and they couldn't stand the reflection. Let's kill the illusion right here. You weren't targeted because you did something wrong. You were targeted because you did something rare. You evolved. You grew.
Okay.
You stopped playing small.
Let's go back a little bit. 26.
They hoped you wouldn't notice the way their energy wrapped around.
Stop it now. Let me go live.